So in this lecture we are going to discuss about dimensional analysis. So dimensional analysis is a method of dimensions. Dimensional analysis, it is a mathematical technique which is used in research work for design of model test. So dimensional analysis deals with the dimensions of the physical quantities which are involved. All physical quantities with respect to an arbitrary fixed value. There are three fixed dimensions. One is the length, another one is the mass, another one is the time. So these are the three fixed dimensions: length, mass, and time. These are the three fixed dimensions which are very important. If any problem of fluid mechanics, heat is involved, then temperature is also taken as a fixed dimension. So these fixed dimensions are called as a fundamental dimensions or a fundamental quantity. So let's start our lecture. So basically you need to understand that length, mass and time are three fixed dimensions. But in case of heat is involved, then temperature is also one of the fixed dimensions. These fixed dimensions nothing but the fundamental dimensions are fundamental quantity. Okay. So dimensional analysis is a method to describe a physical phenomenon by a dimensionally among certain variables which affect the phenomenon. It reduces the number of variables and solution and must be solved experimentally. So I told you that dimensional analysis is a method of dimension which is a mathematical technique used in research work. It deals with the dimensions of the physical quantities. Okay. So I told you that mass, length and time and temperature, these are the fundamental dimensions. In place of mass, the force is also considered as a fundamental quantity. Okay? I told you that length, mass and time are the three fixed dimensions, but in case of heat is involved, then temperature is also one of the fixed dimension. These fixed dimensions are called as a fundamental dimensions or a fundamental quantity. Okay. So these are the fundamental dimensions. Just coming to that, there is a derived. These are the fundamental quantities, whereas a derived quantity is also there. So derived quantities or secondary quantities we say generally. So these secondary or derived quantities are those quantities which possess more than one fundamental dimension. See, fundamental quantities, length, mass and time and temperature, whereas secondary or derived quantities are quantities which possess more than one fundamental quantity. For example, if you take velocity, so velocity is denoted by distance per unit time, right? So here distance is represented in terms of the meters, whereas time is represented in terms of the. So here the two fundamental quantities are there. One is the time, another one is the length quantity that represented in terms of the meters. So two fundamental quantities are involved, so that's why it is a derived quantity. Similarly, if you consider a density, density is mass per volume. See, mass is in terms of the kilograms, that is a kg, but the volume is, we know that that is the quantity of length, that is the L cube we say generally, right? So these also involves more than one fundamental quantity. Similarly, the acceleration is nothing but the meter per second square, that is F is equal to F by, so the dimensions will be L by T square. So these are the some of the basic derived quantities like velocity, density, and acceleration. Okay, so these are the some of the basic fundamental dimensions we use here. So and similarly, there will be laws out there: area, volume. So area will be L square because length into length. Volume we already discussed. That is the L cube. Okay, and similarly, there's a lot of dimensions are there. Okay, so that's all about that. Next, coming to that, dimensional homogeneity. So generally, dimensional homogeneity means the dimensions of each term in an equation on both the sides. That means left hand side and right hand side. Dimensional homogeneity means the dimensions of each term in an equation on both sides are equal. If the dimensions of each term on both sides of an equation are the same, the equation is known as the dimensionally homogeneous equation. See, the powers of fundamental dimensions, length, mass, and time, that is, on both sides of the equation will be identical for a dimensionally homogeneous equation. Such equations are independent on the system of units. See, let us consider one thing so that you can easily understand. V is equal to square root of 2gh. Okay. So we know that velocity is nothing but the meter per second, that is L by T simply is equal, see, V is equal to square root of 2gh. We know that V is nothing but the meter per second, that is L by T is equal to square root of 2gh, means by leaving the constant 2 here, g is acceleration due to gravity, that is units are meter per second square, that is L by T square, and h is in terms of the length similarly. Okay, so again these can be written as, L into T power minus 1 is equal to, so these square root of L by T square, again we can as L square by T square. So by getting L square by T square, for square root cancel, we will get here L by T, that is L into T power minus 1. See? Here both the LHS and RHS are equal. So that is the dimensional homogeneity, means the dimension of each term in an equation on both sides are equal. That is nothing but the dimensionally homogeneous. So simply these are the, so dimensional analysis is based on the Fourier's principle of dimensional homogeneity. An equation is said to be dimensionally homogeneous if the form of the equation does not depend upon the units of measurement. To satisfy the condition, the dimensions of each side of equation must be same. So example, dimensionally homogeneous, dimensionally non-homogeneous. In dimensionally homogeneous, there are a lot of examples as given. One is the continuity equation, Q is equal to AV. Another one is the hydrostatic law of pressure, Newton's second law of motion, and pressure equation is also given. Newton's first law is also given, and another one is the discharge rate of flow is also given. So that's what we can see. But for example, if we try to see that, so these equations dimensionally non-homogeneous, let us take one thing here, that is Manning's formula. V is equal to 1 by n r power 2 by 3 s whole by 2. So if you see that velocity is L into t power minus 1 is equal to R, and S is nothing but a slope. We know that R is nothing but a hydraulic mean radius, that is vector area by vector perimeters. So if you get the parameters these, so definitely these dimensions are not equal to this is a dimensionally non-homogeneous, we say. Okay. So coming to the methods of dimensional analysis. See, if the number of variables involved in a physical phenomenon are known, then relation among the variables can be determined by basically two methods. One is the two methods are there. One is the Rayleigh's method, another one is the Buckingham's pi theorem. Okay, first one is the Rayleigh's method, another one is the Buckingham's pi theorem. Okay, so here given that total number of variable is equal to number of independent variables plus one dependent variable. So total number of variable is equal to number of independent variables plus one dependent variable. So first let us see the Rayleigh's method and then we'll see Buckingham's pi theorem. So Rayleigh's method, this method is used for determining the expression for a variable which depends upon maximum 3 or 4 variables. So understand here, Rayleigh's method is used for determining the expression for a variable which depends upon maximum, that maximum 3 or 4 variables only. If the number of independent variables becomes more than 4, then it is very difficult to find the expression for the dependent variable. That is the Rayleigh's method. Okay, so I will see you. It gives a special form of relation among the dimension groups. It does not provide any information regarding the number of dimensionless groups to be obtained as a result of dimension analysis. The method becomes rather cumbersome when a large number of parameters are. So that's what I told you, that when in 3 or 4 parameters are there, it will be easy. More than 4 variables, this Rayleigh's method is very difficult. Okay. So let x is a variable which let x is a variable which depends upon the x1, x2 and x3, three variables. Then according to Rayleigh's method, x is a function of x1, x2 and x3. These can also be written as x is equal to k x1 power a, x2 power b, x3 power c. Okay, here k is the constant and a, b are arbitrary powers. The values of a, b and c are obtained by comparing the powers of the fundamental dimension on both the sides. So thus the expression is obtained for the dependent variable. So understanding everyone here, in Rayleigh's method, it is difficult to find the expression if more than 4 variables are there, independent variables. Okay, so these are expression we need to consider here. So another one is the Buckingham's pi theorem. So I told you that the Rayleigh's method of dimensional analysis becomes more laborious if the variables are more than the number of fundamental dimensions. That means in Rayleigh's method, I told you that 3 variables like length, mass, and time. Three variables are there, then it will be easy. If more than the number of fundamental dimensions, then it will be very complicated. So this difficulty is overcome by the Buckingham's pi theorem. Okay. So Buckingham's pi theorem states that if there are n variables, both independent and dependent variables, in a physical phenomenon, if these variable contains m fundamental dimensions, then the variables are arranged into n minus m dimensionless terms. Okay, so simply Buckingham pi theorem states that number of pi terms is equal to n minus m. Here n is equal to total number of variables and m is equal to number of repeating variables. Okay, so let us consider x1, x2, x3 are the variables up to xn are the variables involved in a physical problem. Let x1 is a dependent variable and x1 is a dependent and x2, x3 up to xn are the independent variables on which x1 depends. Then x1 is a function of, mathematically we can say x1 is equal to function of x2, x3 up to xn. Okay, so how to select the method of selecting repeating variables? See, for selecting of the repeating variables, the number of repeating variables are equal to the number of fundamental dimensions of the problem. First thing is, so number of repeating variables are equal to the number of fundamental dimensions of the problem. So as far as possible, the dependent variable should not be selected as a repeating variable. First thing is that as far as possible, a dependent variable should not be selected as a repeating variable. The repeating variable should be chosen in such a way that variable contains geometric property, another variable contains flow property, and third contains the fluid property. See, for repeating variable, one will be the geometric property, another one will be the flow property, and third one will be the fluid property. So there are three variables you have to select here: geometric, flow property, and fluid property. So if you see, geometric property means length, diameter, and height, whereas a flow property, we can say velocity, acceleration, whereas the fluid property like dynamic viscosity and density, like that. See, the repeating variables selected should not form a dimensionless group. Okay, no two repeating variables should have the same dimension. So these are the some of the rules we need to consider, whereas the selection of the repeating variables. So the repeating variable will be contain one geometric property and one flow property, and the one is the one fluid property. So okay, so these are all about the Buckingham pi theorem. Okay, next coming to the types of similarities. Now we'll see the dimensionless numbers. See, first one is the dimension numbers. See, dimensionless numbers are those numbers which are obtained by dividing the inertial force by the viscous forces or gravity or pressure or surface tension forces. So there are five types of the non-dimensional parameters are there. One is the Reynolds number, Proud's number, Euler's number, Weber's number, and Mach's number. The Reynolds number. So Reynolds number is defined as the ratio of inertial forces to the viscous forces. So Reynolds number is defined as the inertial forces to the viscous forces. See, inertia force is equal to the product of mass and acceleration of the flowing fluid, which is acting in a direction opposite to the direction of acceleration. So inertial force is equal to the mass into acceleration of the flowing fluid, that is the FEMA, and similarly the viscous force is equal to the product of shear stress due to viscosity and surface area of a fluid flow, that is the tau into A. So here A means the area. So inertial force is the product of mass into acceleration, and viscous force is the product of shear stress and surface area. See, and similarly again, so this mass can be written as density into volume, and similarly this acceleration can be written as velocity by time, that is velocity by time, by shear stress into area, that is we can write as shear stress is equal to mu du by dy into area. So again here this volume per second can be written as, that is nothing but we know that discharge is equal to volume per second, that can be written as area into velocity also. So let's make it this volume per time is as rho into a into velocity, that is rho a v square by this shear stress also can be written as, so du by dy is nothing but it is the velocity and this is the length. So simply we can say mu into v by l into a. So this velocity and this velocity, and similarly this area and this area will be cancelled here. Okay, finally we'll get here rho v rho v l by mu. Rho vl by mu. So this is the expression for Reynolds number, that is the rho stands for the density, v stands for velocity of the flow, l stands for characteristic length, that can be taken as the diameter for circular pipes I told you in the previous only, and mu is the dynamic viscosity, and we know that kinematic viscosity is equal to ratio of dynamic viscosity to the density, and same this can be also written as VL by kinematic viscosity. Okay, so L is nothing but the diameter of the pipe for pipe flow. So this is about the Reynolds number, is the ratio of inertial forces and viscous forces. Okay, next coming to the Froude number. So Froude number is a ratio, is the square root of ratio of inertial force to the gravity forces. See, in the previous, we got the expression for inertial forces, that is the rho a v square by gravity force. We already know that gravity force means mass into acceleration due to gravity. Again, we'll get the expression as same as rho a into lg. Finally, we'll get the expression as v by square root of l into g. Here v stands for velocity of the flow, l is the length, and g is the acceleration due to gravity. So third one is the Euler's number. So Euler's number is the ratio of square root of inertial force and pressure force. So I told you that already we know that inertial force is nothing but the rho a v square. Already we determined the previous only by pressure force. So intensity of pressure is nothing but the pressure into area. Pressure into area. So for area and area cancel here. Pressure is again we can write as square root of v square by p by rho. So this can be again written as v by square root of p by rho, because for square and root will be cancelled here. V by square root of p by rho. So v is the velocity of the flow, p is the pressure, and rho is the density. Another one is the Mach number. The Mach number is defined as the square root of inertia force and elastic force. So already we know that inertia force is nothing but v square by the elastic force is given as elastic stress into area. So let us consider elastic stress into area. So again, so area means length square. So we'll get the expression here also. So in area will be cancelled. The expression will be v square by k by rho. So again we know that k by rho is nothing but the velocity of sound in the fluid c. So finally we can say Mach number is equal to v by c. V by c. This is about the Mach number. So another one is the Weber's number. Last one is the Weber's number is defined as Weber's number is defined as the square root of ratio of inertial forces to the surface tension force, that is the Fs. See, we already know that inertial force is rho s v square by surface tension force is nothing but the surface tension per unit length, that can be written as sigma into L. So we'll get the expression for this will be V by square root of sigma by rho into L. Okay. So this is the final expression we got for the Weber's number. So these are the 5 non-dimensional numbers. So one is the Reynolds number, another one is the Froude's number, and Euler's number, and Weber's number. Another one is the Mach. So these are the dimensional terms. So these are the 5 non-dimensional numbers: Reynolds number, Froude number, Euler's number, and Mach number. Ratio of inertial forces to the viscous forces. whereas the Froude number is the square root of inertial forces to the gravity forces. Euler's number is the ratio of inertial forces to the pressure forces, and Mach's number is the ratio of square root of to the elastic forces. These are all the very important dimensional non-dimensional numbers.